push for it, it also isn't going to catch any of the bad people. Bad people are doing great on the internet. We don't need to cripple our citizens just to make all the politicians feel happier. So we need help on all of these things. If you guys want to run some Tor servers, that would be fabulous. There are signs all around the outside saying use more bandwidth. You have laptops. I want to see 50 Tor servers in this room after a little while. And more volunteers. There are a lot of things that we need to do. Documentation, translation, research, design, implementation, deployment, usability. The list goes on and on. We need help. There are only 3 of us trying to work on this at this point. We've got hundreds of thousands of users. I get a lot of mail every day saying, hey, I tried to do this and it didn't quite work. Can you help me understand Windows? I'd love to have some more people who can help answer those sorts of things. And if you know anybody who wants to help us with funding or donations, that'd be great too. Thank you.
Hi, Roger.
Okay, there's time for, I've got 45 minutes or more, so I don't know what Andreas is going to do for the time, but we've got time for questions, comments?
Okay, I want to say thank you very much for your lecture. My name is Padelun from Föbot. We already run a Tor server, and I have here $1,000 funding for use, and I want to come to you to give it to you.
Ooh,
and
thank you.
And right now at room 4 there's a meeting for against data retention now.
Thank you. Other questions, comments, people with thousands of dollars?
Hi, a URL would be cool. Do you have a URL? Where should I go to?
Tor.eff.org, or Google for Tor. We're the #1 hit for that. We beat out the publisher a little while ago. There's a document that describes all of this also. Come chat with me and I'll point you where it is. I'd love to have some more feedback on it. Other people with microphones.
Here?
Yeah.
When you talked about the first connection that Alice has to make, if you have like a really strong attacker and he can like totally monitors your connection, if like the first bridge gets tainted, can he like lure you into a honey net and like simulate that you're in a Tor network but you're not?
No. And the reason for this is that the Tor software comes with the addresses and keys of the main Tor directory authorities. So what Alice is going to do is she's going to connect to the bridge, and then she's going to connect to the main directory authorities and say, tell me who's in the Tor network really. And then she's going to get a signed answer, and she can check the signature on it, and then she'll know that she's using the real Tor network. And from there she can build 3 different hops, knowing that she's building them through different servers. And that way the bridge, or whoever's attacking her here, can't influence where she ends up popping out. Do you buy that?
Okay, yeah, so you would have to fake the keys.
You would have to break into 3 of the 5 main Tor directory authorities, as well as attacking the bridge.
Okay, cool.
Roger, I'm over here. Question, as Tor becomes a priority for oppressive governments more and more, let's assume that this happens, even though we can sort of steer how badly this is going to happen. Let's assume it becomes a big priority, and Western companies start opposing you. You start opposing teams of really good techies that really want to make your technology not work, which is going to happen, I think. At some point this will happen. How much sense does it make, you think, to start working against them, to start making them look bad, to how much of your energy would you invest in opposing your opposers instead of making your technology better? Where in your mind, where does that scale is? Where is the
In my mind, as the developer and designer, what I need to do is I need to make the software really good. And if there is easy to use, secure, well documented, well understood modular software out there, we all win. It's just, that's all there is to it. The software will take over the world and that will be it. In terms of the social and political discussions at the same time, yes, those need to happen. I'm probably not the best person for those. I'm relying on all of you to help out on that respect. But from my perspective, what Tor needs to focus on is making the software really good. Because the better the software is, the harder it is for all those people to actually try to attack it. I'm pretty confident that we can build secure anonymity software that large companies can't beat. So what we need to do is build it. And we need your help. Did I mention that?
Another part of the response to that question is that Western companies, some of them will attack it, but Verizon can be embarrassed out of working with China. You know, Yahoo was heavily embarrassed after their actions led to arrests in China. Various large companies that maybe we can't name are actually talking about entering into protocols about the way that they do business.
And a lot of these companies use Tor for their own security. They don't want it to go away.
Right, so if you work for someone, make sure you try and push upwards and say, hey, this is a good protocol we should be supporting rather than something we should be working to block.
I agree.
You just mentioned again that companies and governments are using Tor. Could you just elaborate for a minute for what kinds of use?
So that's a separate talk, which I can give at a separate point. But there are a couple of examples. Let's say you want to check out a competitor's website and you don't want them to know that you're the one doing it. You want to know what product they're going to come out with next. So you should use Tor to go to their website and figure that out. That's one answer. Another answer, there are Navy soldiers, US Navy soldiers in the Middle East right now who are using Tor to connect back to their servers in Maryland. They don't want somebody watching the house they're in Iraq to say, hey, wait a minute, those guys are from the US Navy. And they don't want people watching the servers in Maryland to say, I know the current location of this team. So those are a few examples of why these different people need their security on the internet. Imagine, I mean, when do you need encryption? Tor is useful for all sorts of situations where you want to protect your current location from somebody that you're talking to, or you want to protect the person that you're talking to from somebody watching you locally. Is that a good enough answer?
Thank you. Yeah, hello. I have a question. Is it dangerous to have a Tor server in China or other way around? Do I have any possibility to detect users using Tor?
Is it dangerous to have a Tor server in China?
Yes.
I have no idea. You should ask somebody in China.
Okay.
We do have Tor servers in China right now. There are a half dozen fast Tor servers running at Chinese universities, possibly operated by the government, I'm not sure. There are a half dozen fast Tor servers running at Chinese ISPs, also possibly operated by the government, I'm not sure. So they're running, I have no idea.
How can I search for Tor users?
How can you search for Chinese users?
Yeah, for Tor users in China.
Okay. There are a couple of answers to that, and we're fixing each of them, so my eventual answer will be, that won't be very easy. Go back to the GeoIP discussion that I had before. If you're the first hop, then you can say, I know Alice is using Tor, but I don't know what she's doing, but I know that she's the one using it. So that's the easy answer. You can say, there's a user coming from China, they're going into Tor, I don't know what they're doing, but I know they're using it. Is that good enough?
Okay, yes.
I'm sorry. The Tor as a network, do you have the network monitoring tools, like analyzing tools to see who is attacking you?
Do we have network monitoring tools to see who is attacking? No.
Why not?
Part of it is because we're working on the anonymity side. Another part is that we don't know how to build good monitoring tools that don't harm the security of the system. And a third part of it is that we're real busy. Would you like to help us build some?
Probably so. Well, it's the war, and you need to have some tools for this war. If you run the network, you need to know what is going on.
If you run an anonymity network, you really don't want to know what's going on. And I should also point out that we don't run the anonymity network. We run a few servers here and there. You guys run the anonymity network.
Then they'll kill you. Chinese and the government and whoever it is.
That's another discussion that hopefully we won't have to have anytime soon. My main goal is to make sure that the software exists, and at that point, maybe I'm not the top target anymore.
It's good for you.
You were talking about denial of service by blocking of nodes. What's about exceeding bandwidth?
What about exceeding the bandwidth of the nodes?
Of the Tor network.
Oh, of the Tor network. That's a good question, because right now there are 800 Tor servers and hundreds of thousands of users. We're pushing over 100 megabytes per second of traffic on average. This is more, I think it's about the same as what Wikipedia pushes at this point. So we're pushing a lot of traffic, and there aren't very many actual relays who've volunteered to work on that. And a lot of that is why the Tor network is not as fast as it could be, is why Stephen had to run his own Tor network when he did his experiments. In terms of people intentionally attacking the Tor network to knock it down, the easy answer to defend against that is that we need to grow bigger.
Yeah, of course.
That's the answer. We're in the process of growing bigger. We've got 800 servers now. We're doubling every 4 to 6 months.
But I think his store is growing bigger and it's attracting more users. So there will still be a base load on which an attacker can leverage.
Yes, so there are a lot of different pieces to making the Tor network faster. One of the big pieces is making it easier for people to become a server. We've got some new front-end software called Vidalia that is the GUI. It's got a snazzy little bandwidth graph. It shows you a map of the Earth with all the little Tor servers on it, and it makes a little diagram to show where the circuits are, sort of like the satellite photo in Sneakers, if you're familiar with that, where you get to actually watch the connections going along. So that makes people very excited to use Tor, and there's a little button now, and you click it, and it says, "Now I'm a Tor server." And if we can make that button really easy to find, first of all, and then second of all, we need to make it do good things on the back end. We need to make Tor easy to use, easy to turn into a server, get the bandwidth limiting right so that you can limit external connections without also limiting yourself. Make it work even on esoteric, archaic operating systems like Windows and stuff like that, then we'll be in a lot better shape. There's a lot of work to be done before we get to the point where it's trivial to run a Tor server everywhere. But that's what we're working on.
Thank you.
Are there any competition relationships or synergies to the I2P anonymizing project?
We chat with them every so often. Part of the big problem here is that there are a lot of unknown research issues. We don't know how to do this, how to do that, how many hops you should use, how you actually do the choice for your circuits. There are a lot of different open research questions in terms of how to be secure when you're making all these design decisions. I2P takes very different approaches to answering a lot of these design decisions than Tor does. Unfortunately, they're all open research questions, so we don't know if we are right or they are right. So we're both trying to get better intuition about how to answer those, but the next step for both sides is that we need to actually sit down and say, is this approach more safe or is this approach more safe? And there's a whole research community trying to answer these questions.
So are you planning any kind of networking